As you can see, I'm on my way home Ontario, not home Macedonia. I left right after the race. I'm going to get home at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I just figured I felt good. It felt fresh when I left the track. Obviously, a win with Crantini helped that. And I just thought I'd rather wake up in my bed with my wife at home than my bed alone in Macedonia on a Saturday. Not a whole lot to do at the barn. I do want to go over and look at some of the horses that had raced, get a look at Punch the Clock myself, a couple of the other horses that maybe I didn't feel were on their best this week. Now, Punch was, but I want to get a look at her and make sure she's heading in the right direction. She was a little sore after the race right hind. Looks like it might have been a combination of a couple of nails that were a little close to her white line, maybe, and bruise up on her jack from hitting. We had her x-rayed and ultrasounded today. There was no issues in that regard, but an abundance of caution will be used when it comes to our girl Punch. So I want to get to the barn tomorrow. I want to look at some of those horses, go with them myself or put my own hands on them just to see how they feel. I know I talked to Dominic, talked to Amy, obviously. She takes care of Punch. Carter Michael Dio was acting up this week and tipped over a wheelbarrow and cut his leg. He just can't help but be a goofball. So put a little chink into the armor of our, I guess a little wrinkle into our timeline, so to speak, when it comes to him, but not by much. We were a tiny bit ahead of schedule anyway, so not really a big deal in that regard. Talked about a number of other horses today that I wanted to update. You guys have seen that video. There was a whole bunch of them. Well, they're all right here. About 15 or 20 horses here. And now I want to go over the horses that raced today. Right? We started at 6 o'clock at night. Didn't have any afternoon racing today from anybody, but a lot of horses going nonetheless. We've been on such a heater. There was only one way for the racing to go. We're gonna have to have a little regression. Things were running pretty hot the last few days, and although we had a pretty good lineup, there was a lot of question marks, right? Born to Dance, I thought, was a 1-2 lock, to be honest, from what I could see on the program and how he was racing. The problem was, last time he raced in the daylight, I didn't think this would be a problem, and I don't really know why it was. Last time he raced in the daylight, I guess, was the 6 o'clock post in Northfield, where he almost did a belly flop over the shadow coming out of last turn, but he had nothing on. Now we've applied a big shadow roll and a screen to him. I moved him down the backstretch where he made a break coming out of the gate. I was in full flight with him not 2 weeks ago, clearing off the lead, right? Brett was adamant that he jumped over a shadow. So the only thing I can think of is that, the shadows in the day, a little bit different than the shadows at night from the light standards. Really doesn't matter. I can't answer why Born to Dance would jump over a shadow that he went over the last 2 times he raced with no problem whatsoever. In fact, I was so certain of him being safe, I moved him out of the 2-hole down the backstretch and paced right over those shadows, and he had no issues. It was clearly an issue tonight. So Born to Dance, I want to say a very uncharacteristic break. Somebody said, well, he's made a break before. I said, yeah, like February, I think. Even when he jumped over the shadows and no shadow roll, he just kind of danced over them going slow in training sets. But, the last time he made a flat-out break was, I don't even know when. I don't think he made one in a qualifier. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He made one tonight, so we'll have to rebound. And the problem is, so here's my problem. Makes a break on Brett tonight as a driver. If he jumped over a shadow, as a driver, are you going to be able to drive him with confidence? Because he has to go right back there next Friday, and I can't be there. It's the Arden for the 2-year-old trotters next week. Still trying to sift through with Tim I talked to him on the way home, sift through with Tim what my next week is going to look like. Obviously, Jason has me on a couple of horses on Monday night. My plan is to take Addie Bear over here with me. Ollie and Ava have camp next week. Ollie has baseball also, and I got another busy week ahead of me. But I told Addie Bear we'll go to the fair on Tuesday. I promised her a ride on the Ferris wheel. I hope they have it in Paynesville. We're going to go take some horses to Paynesville Tuesday. Monday night, assuming I can get to Northfield. Look at those high beams. Monday night, assuming I can get to Northfield, I get Jason's horse, his trotter. I forget his name. And we have J.K. Mickey Mantle in. Now, Hunter was listed on, I thought that was only fair. Plus, he was earlier in the program and just gives me an opportunity to leave much later in the day on Monday, if indeed I'm going to leave on Monday. Tuesday, we have the Paynesville Fair for sure. I don't think we have anything else other than that I'm aware of. Wednesday, we have a whole host of sire stake races in Northfield Park. We have Sedona, Purple People Eater, Gypsy Hill, and Irresistible Sun, and we have Venice Blue Chip. 5 horses racing in the sire stakes. This was all planned. I think Lisa's in also. B. Lisa. Now, B. Lisa was put on Lasix, bled a little bit the other day. I'm not so sure she didn't bleed the week before. Problem was, with all the running around, the vet wasn't there. He was short-staffed. But she didn't get scoped the week before. Then she didn't get in. I think she bled the other day, and sure enough, she did a little bit. So now she's on the Lasix program. She's going to race on Lasix for the first time on Wednesday in the same class, coming off a victory on short notice back a week. I think she'll even be better than she was the other day, especially not bleeding. Be a big deal, I think. So B. Lisa should be good too. So there's 6 that I just counted. See if it's on the calendar yet. It's not. Just have Wallop and J.K. Mickey Mantle on there. So we'll go back to today. Born to Dance made the break, leaving, jumped over Shadow. As I was saying, is Brett going to be okay with driving that guy again? Because I'd rather him not. He is one of the better grassroots horses. Probably the way the race shook out tonight, I don't want to, I don't want to put my hindsight on, but I would believe he would have been first tonight, if not second. If he'd have got away behind Kurt's horse, I think he's a winner. So, are you going to be able to drive him with confidence? Is there anything we can do to help? I said to Jason, might have a good idea. Maybe just ask the race secretary to put Born to Dance in later on. We already know he'll go over the shadows at night that are on the track. And clearly he wasn't that fond of going over them today, in the middle of the day. So why don't we just ask to put him in later on? Pretty easy fix, I think. Will that appease Brett? Last thing anybody wants to do is get hurt. And if Brett doesn't trust the horse at all, is he okay to drive him? So that's a question that Jason's going to have to ask Brett. But I think Born to Dance now, he missed the first Buckeye, made a break in the second one. I would hate to miss out because we have one of the better Buckeyes around. I think this... Now, make no mistake, this is no cakewalk. It's not like, oh my God, we'll just enter them and they'll just start writing the check up as we're going behind the gate. No. There's some good horses out there, some real good Buckeye horses. If I'm not mistaken, while I was on the phone with Jason earlier, one went 52 in a piece. Well, no cakewalks there. Shadows or no shadows. He's not pacing at 52 right now, just so you know. So, next Friday, very important day for Born to Dance. So I just asked Jason to have a frank conversation with Brett, talk about putting him in later, and is he going to be comfortable driving him in a way that'll hopefully end up in the winner's circle, or is he going to be extra cautious with him? And I can't blame him either way, but it is worth having the conversation. Horn Player tonight, I almost wanted to leave with her. She's getting better and better and better. Different type of mile tonight. 1, the front end was much quicker. Didn't fold up in the same manner. 2, I moved her down the backstretch where when I got her out moving and she couldn't really advance on the leader, she wasn't that fond of moving forward. She just kind of hung out there, still very self-conscious in the turns. Rather than being bottled up, now she was asked to advance. She hung out, trotted again through the wire, another good mile at 56, but not what I hoped. If she's as good or better next week, we can get her to the front, I think she wins in 55. Now, either way, they went 54 tonight, so it wouldn't matter what I did, short of getting a head start. I think she's ready to trot in 55. She doesn't like to be out in the third quarter. Little mental note for me. Everything else was perfect mechanically. I'm so happy with the way she was. You can tell by my voice. I was expecting her to advance on the leader's attack, maybe be second or third, but she's only had the hobbles off 3 starts now. There is still a level of insecurity there with her, and I felt it a little bit in the third quarter, but she still came and did her work rather well. So although she was only 5th, I thought she raced really well. So Born to Dance jumped over Shadow. Horn Player, finished 5th. Here's 2 horses that I was kind of hoping would do really well tonight. 0 for 2. Coupe de Ville, race good again. I only saw the last 3/8 of the mile, ended up coming on, closing in for a 4th and 54 and a piece. You're going to see her go a big mile one of these nights. You're not going to have a Doc's Boo Boo or one of those other horses. She wasn't in there tonight, but one of those other horses in. There's going to be a couple of horses not in there. She's going to have a little softer crew at some point this summer, mark my words, and she's going to go a big mile. She's the type of filly, get a fair win under her belt, get her confidence back up, catch a soft division some night. She's going to go a big mile for us. This filly's got a lot of work left in the summer. And again, beat fair and square, but 4th tonight. So again, we knew she was 3rd or 4th best. So expectations were right bang on for her. Still riding a little low, right? Austral Hanover, tough bunch. I really thought he should have been an attacking 3rd under the wire, and it just didn't seem like the track was playing well. Now, as the sun started to go down and got a little bit cooler, the track tightened up just ever so much. I think those first couple of races, it just didn't feel like they were going lots. Now, it's silly to say because fast forward to race 8, they went 48-3, right? So it's hard for me to say that without a voice in my head saying, what about the 8th? But we're way back not way back. We were in race 6 now, 40 minutes before that happened. So I just felt Austral Hanover good. He pulled up with did put the extra set of bell boots on him. I felt he was trotting better and did pull up with his ears up and was in good spirits. But again, it was funny. I was sitting beside Ronnie Wren after the race, and he said, "You're cold, just okay tonight." And I said, "Well, Ronnie, to be fair, the horse that I beat you with when you were 3 wide down the backstretch drove away from him last week, and to be fair, I think he's as good this year as he was last year." I mentioned this in a few videos. The expectations of our clients. You guys believe that some of you, and it's different for every horse, but a lot of the time you'll see a horse go out and race fantastic at 2, and you extrapolate from the information given to you that they would just be that much better at 3. Sometimes they just aren't. And with Austral Hanover, I think you're going to see another horse much like Coupe de Ville. You're going to see him go out and trot 53 or 54 one night. Was he already taking a mark at 54 and 1? You're going to see him go out and go a pretty good mile one night. You're like, he's back. He's just present, right? He's a real good Stallion Series horse that struggles to find classes in between Stallion Series races. And that's it. That's a pretty salty crew in there, and he was beaten 4th tonight. As I said, I would have liked to see him a closing 3rd is what I would have liked to see from him tonight. So again, now we have Born to Dance make the break. Horn Player's a little lackluster at the time in my mind, even though I know she did what she could. Felt a little lackluster. Maybe I'm being a little spoiled too, because I went through the same last 3-4 days that you did also. And then Coupe de Ville, she was 4th because she was 4th best. And then Austral, now he's 4th. It's not like, good old Cash Deals will bail us out. I don't know whether I'd say she probably tied up a little bit. It's tough. You ship a horse 2 hours to a new track. It's tough sometimes. I would suspect when we draw our blood, and we will draw our blood tomorrow, I would suspect that her AST is going to be a little high. So is there a better way to manage Cash Deals as AST? Assuming I'm right. Yes, it should be. So we'll work on that. But again, I don't want to jump to conclusions and say, well, there you go. Her AST was high. I don't know that it was. But I suspect, historically speaking, we have a pretty good idea of what went on with Cash Deals tonight. I would guess. So now I'm like, oh my God, Cash Deals, that was a cinch. As Steve would say, a lead pipe cinch. And now we've taken a left turn into Mediocreville. Time Is On My Side goes on the track. I'm thinking, I saw the program page, some horses show 54 in here. Time Is On My Side qualified in 56, then missed an entire week because they didn't go with the class anywhere. If he wasn't in tonight, he's on his way to Pennsylvania because I was not waiting for them to fill a class. And it's no cakewalk. That's a tough crew of maidens. I sent Harry, it was so cool. They show him going up to the gate, and as he's going up to the gate, you can see in his nose. I got the picture. You can see in his nose that white kind of allergy mucus in his nose. We have him on, herbal oral supplements. The same garbage everybody buys, thinking it's going to help them because they're a nice, healthy horse on the cover, on the label. It's allergy mucus. So, and Harry was 100% correct. Horse raced good, off 2 weeks. He's getting better. He's just got to grow into himself. And as he grows into himself, and as we start to get into September, where he'll have probably 5 starts at that point, he'll be hitting his best physical stride as a 2-year-old just as the allergies start to go away, right? Just as the night air is a little cool. So if we can just hang tight, let the horse grow up. It's different when you're up against racing a horse that is underachieving. It's disappointing, especially when you pay a lot of money for them. You expect them to go out and race good right away. It's quite a different thing to look at a horse. Look at this 2-year-old, very green, big, strong 2-year-old. Look at him and say, I expect him to be better. He was just about as good as I thought he'd be tonight. Just about as good as I could expect him to be. Certainly not as good as I hoped he'd be. There's still lots of life left in this guy, and he's got a lot of growing. For those of you that maybe haven't been around him, he came in as a decent-sized colt. We broke him, trained him down. He is an absolute giant now. He wears about a 61-inch hobble, and he is a big boy. We talk about that first race, getting that first. You saw it with Gypsy Hill. You said it's the same with Pacers. Except it might take a couple of starts. So not only is it important that he races this week, next week, come right back in 7 days. And I think once you start to get around that 4th or 5th start with him, then you're going to start to see a much better physical-looking animal. He's going to start to look like a racehorse. He's already got the mental component. He understands that James drove the horse perfect tonight, and he gets his job. But physically, he needs to advance and grow up, and he will. And just as we're about to see his best stride, that's when he's going to be able to breathe a lot better. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, I think if you go and watch the replays, maybe the ones on YouTube, if not, you have to go to a streaming service like RTN, and watch as the race starts, and as they show that camera with Time Is On My Side going up to the gate, his nose is right in front of the camera. You can see all the weight out, and what horsemen will be called allergy mucus just sitting there in his nose. And it has to play a role in his breathing. 100% it does. So you're going to see him, and before you ask me, is there anything we can do? Yeah, buy a time machine when we come back and race them on low-grade quarter zones. You can't do that anymore. There's nothing you can do. They have to get over it. You have to make sure you manage his breathing. And listen, Harry Bolton knows what he's doing. You don't have to worry about him. His crew is well equipped to foster the talent and the speed of Time Is On My Side. Very happy with what I saw from him tonight. Yet a 5th, hanging out 4th and 5thsville all night. When you look ahead and you say, "Oh, our best shot of the night now is Crantini." I hope he doesn't tip over. And he warmed up a little warmer than he's been his last 3 starts. His qualifier was quiet. First start in Philadelphia, very quiet. Last week, quiet. A little rowdy tonight in the warm-up. Not bad. Not Crantini of 2022 or even the start of this year. Just a little edgy tonight. So, you can get him up close to the gate. But he's been advancing so well with his behavior at the gate. What the problem we had before, when he was 2, it was when you went to pull away from the gate. Remember, Mark lost him, I lost him. back-to-back weeks, I think, or 2 and 3 starts. You just had to watch him coming away from the car. That's when he would make his mistakes. Or coming into the car. That's when he'd throw his head and lose his mind. He's been good ever since we got the hobbles on him, in the qualifier, but I've been able to time him in perfect. The rail? Not the place you want. If you were to say, where what position I'd love to leave with Crantini? At no point would the rail be the next words out of your mouth. At no point. If there was 10 positions on the gate and you had 10 things to say, 10 spots to pick, the rail would be the last one. So, it's hard to do as a driver, especially when you've got a fractious horse, to bring them into the gate and catch it in stride. Very hard thing to do. And, I'd love to say, and I have it down to a science. No. A lot of the times, you're coming up to the gate and you're like, I think I got it timed good. But if you allow them to extend quickly, if you come up to the gate too quick and have to grab them, that's almost the worst. It is worse than missing it by 3/4 of a length. Getting there a hair too early and having to grab them and then having them act up. And I don't think he would have actually done that tonight, but I wasn't going to take any chances. Right? He's 4 to 5 on the board or whatever he was. He's the best trotter in the race. And how many times has he beaten himself? So my first job was to not allow him to beat himself tonight. And in hindsight, the way I felt about it, I thought the horse was great tonight. It wasn't an anxious moment. Coming up behind the gate, I felt it's almost like when you're coming up to a yellow light. You know if you can make it, right? And I knew that where the gate was and where I was going to catch it right when I wanted to. And from the rail, it didn't matter. All I had to do was push through somewhat, hold my position somewhat, let the dust settle, drop everybody in, and then just come with them. And it just turned out that, it worked out perfect. As I started to catch up to the horse in the 2-hole, I just filed him right, crossed over to the front. But now, it's funny. James, Scotty, all these guys are professional drivers. Their job is to make them go fast, right? Put them in a good spot, make them go fast. When a horse won't pick the bit up, it's very hard to do that. It's extremely unsettling. James hates it. Hates it. Because it's hard to get them to pick the bit up, get them to push forward. And if they won't pick the bit up, he's got a snake cord in his mouth. He will not pick the bit up. You may as well just hang the lines over. If you could just steer him with a wheel and just hang the lines over the water hook, it would be the same, because he will not pick the bit up. So you saw him down the lane. The lines are like spaghetti noodles, and you're chasing them, and it's not ideal from a driver's standpoint. I don't mind it. I can herd him along. I don't care. I thought he did everything right. I called on him a little bit down the backstretch because, same as anything else, I don't want to let an inferior horse out-trot me. Speed is a factor. I know I can trot 54, and I know you can't. So come and get me. And that's kind of the mentality I had. 58-2, I said, geez, a little bit of a breather. And it's almost like you're watching a movie, because it's not like I was grabbing a hold of him way on 58-2. I just left him alone. And then it was, all right, time to go. And away you went. It's not ideal from a driver's standpoint. I don't mind doing it, because I know what he can do. The half and 58-2, I knew probably sealed their fate. I knew he probably had a half and 56 and a piece in him. And in fact, I was wrong. He had a half and 56 flat in him. And that's with nobody coming to him. If somebody had to come to him in the last turn, would he went and 54 flat, 53 and 4 if I had a horse to race with? Probably. He was good tonight. Not on the left line. Tim said he did get some bet work done on him, so I apologize, I can't recall. I think he said his knees and his feet, but I'm not positive. Whatever work was done worked. Now, we did remove the Murphy blind. We just had the line pole on the left, but the Murphy blind wasn't causing him to drift last week. Something was bothering him, and if it was, in fact, his knees and feet that were injected, then one of his left front foot or his left knee were bothering him quite a bit. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Megan said the last time she did his knees, the left one was worse than the right. So, parse together those two conversations, and I suspect his left knee needed to be injected. He was very, very good tonight. Really, really happy with him. So now we're gaining speed. I'm looking at the bottom of the order. We got JK Victory, Kings County, Looks Like Money, and Delicious Stone, who's buried. How are we going to end up the night? I was a little disappointed with Kings County. I jumped over our other winner, JK Victory, 150 flat. Indiana's such a weird track. When they come out of the last turn, it looked like it was going to be third. And then it's almost like they just stopped advancing. Or they were trying to advance. It just seemed like an inch, and then JK Victory drove away and won by a length. It was weird to watch the race down lane. It was very I don't know how to explain it. It looked like he was going to be third, and then he drove away and won. So really, really happy with him tonight. So we had two winners, both big favorites, but both had struggled to find the winner's circle this year. Now, JK Victory had. Crantini had not before tonight, but they were both victorious tonight. Kings County kind of let me down. I kind of thought I could see what Brett was doing. The favorite made a break, right? He was trying to pin down Tony Hall, which he did, the other favorite. Great move. But then he didn't advance to the lead. He didn't get there. It's not like him. Usually he takes that long, grinding, motion. The horse on the front's like 30-1. He's not going to take him. He just couldn't get there. It was odd. It's very, very odd. So I don't know whether he's under the weather. I hope he's not bleeding a little bit, but I'll leave that up to Stacy and Brett. This is usually the time of the night when I'll get an email saying, what happened to the horse? I hope they scoped him. Are they going to take his blood? Of course they will. 100% they will. So Kings County, again, it is the heat of the summer. It's around 4,000 degrees Celsius in Scioto, I'm sure, tonight. So, this isn't the perfect time of year for Kings County, although this is the time of year he won at 51-4, 52 last year. But he did have his clunkers also. He just wasn't good tonight. And he was parked the whole way. He just didn't seem like he had a lot of pop, a lot of fire to him. Half 56-3. How many times have you seen him grind to the front and drive away? He just didn't seem great tonight. It'll happen. Not the end of the world. And then all that was left was Looks Like Money out of the 10-hole. I didn't really get a close look at who was in there. There's some good horses in there. Seth Quintarian winning 50-2. Tim Dietrich's horse, a good horse too. I forget his name. He raced huge also, but it Looks Like Money closed hard the last 8 to get up for second. I thought he raced great. A good trip, a good mile from him, and still beats racing against Logan Park in those horses. Fashion Frenzy. No thanks. I know Harry wants a horse home. I want him home too. Megan wants to keep him there. Harry wants to bring him home. But at the end of the day, Anthony's left trying to figure out what's best for Looks Like Money and his clients. And racing against aged, battle-hardened horses, I'm not that interested in that right now. We're going to have to race them eventually. The Maple Leaf Chalk coming up. He's going to have to race them eventually, but he doesn't have to race them every week. Now, at the same token, I'm not okay with racing him on the 10-hole every week also. He was assigned the 10-hole because they combined two classes. And who got pinched in the middle was our other horse, Delicious Stone DK. When you look at the entries of the class, you say, there's no way this horse belongs in here. But they took him. They took half of that race that wasn't filling the lower end and stuffed it in with the higher end. It's not really fair to Delicious Stone DK to have to race against Seth Quintarian and Looks Like Money. What did he try, like 52, 53 tonight? It's a little unfair. So hopefully we find a good spot for him, but also a good spot for Looks Like Money. He doesn't have to race every week, but he definitely doesn't need to race in the 10-hole every week. I thought Scotty did a great job. Listen, I'm certainly not saying anything wrong. I still preferred tonight's class over an open trot at Mohawk. Yeah, I do, actually. So I think Megan did a good job getting the horse in. They did combine the class. It's not her fault any more than it's Mark and Melissa's for Delicious Stone. They can't do anything about it. That happens everywhere. We see it all the time. Our horses get stuffed in all the classes in Mohawk, in Ontario. How many times has White Tiger had to race in the Open in the spring? right? Or fit the non-winners at 9,000, ended up in the non-winners at 14 because it didn't fill. It happens. Sure, I can act like I'm angry, but Race Off is just trying to do the best it can to fill the cards, right? So, I'm not going to complain. We had an okay night. We had an exceptional week, and it looks like we have a lot of racing ahead. Born to Dance with a break. Born Player raced good. Coupe de Ville raced good. Austro-Hanover raced good. Cash Deals flat, likely tied up. Time is on my side. 55-1 last quarter, 27-1. Pretty good start to his racing career, especially since it was 2 weeks before since he's seen a starting gate. Good start to his career. So great job by James and Harry with him. All Harry's crew. Crantini was exceptionally good. Great job by Tim, Dean, everybody in Tim's barn. Good job getting this guy. He's putting on a little bit of weight. You know, a little bit of a rash on him, but he's coming. He's looking better. I guess the question, and I've already had the questions, is he going to the yard? He does fit that class again. So I guess I have to look who might go to the yard. Because I'll tell you what, if he goes out and wins in 53, now he's right back on the stake scene, right? It's not I'm not oblivious to the fact that the Beal is coming up and there's 3 different levels of the Beal. They're all done by money. I'd rather not race him in the top one. I'd love to race him in the second one, especially the way he's going about his work now. Much better. You know, as I said to Megan, you know, I think I found his pressure point. I have his martingale so tight. And she's the one that took the head check off the horse and put the fly screen on him. I probably wouldn't have done that. So again, a team effort to get this guy back going in the right direction. And I have his, like I said, I have his martingale so tight he's angry. But he's starting to give up. He's starting to say, all right, okay, I'll let your head down. I'll take your head check off. I'm glad that Megan did that. But you were going to wear your martingale tight. And I think that he's decided that that's an acceptable agreement between the two of us. So, yes, he is going down a path that could lead him back into stakes company. I'm not just talking about Stallion Series company. I think speed-wise, he's starting to get to where we wanted him to be. Mentally, he's approaching a very acceptable level. So I was happy with him tonight. JK Victory, always happy when we can get a victory with JK Victory. So happy with him. The only real disappointments of the night were Born to Dance's break. Yes, that was disappointing. And Kings County's race, but cut him some slack. It's been such a good horse for us for so long. Pretty hard to be upset with Kings County. Bad race. It happens. Delicious Stone. Can't really be upset with him. He's way over his head. But that wasn't Mark or Melissa's fault. They put him in the class below this. They just happened to take a whole bunch of horses, 10 horses, and jam them in together. And he gets stuck in the middle. Looks like money gets stuck on the outside. Can't complain. The horse that won the race was 9 holes. So what are you going to do? Scotty drove him right, protected him right. And I know, I'm so excited, you know, to have horses well, all our trainers. And I know that Megan wants to have good horses, wants to do good. You know, I like the fact that we have people that want to do good, whether it's Harry Polton, who's an older gentleman who wants to do good in horse racing again and hungry, you know, to have good horses, or whether it's Megan, a younger kid starting out who wants to do good, wants to put her name, you know, stamp her name on the game also. It's nice to have people that are so dedicated to you know, advancing us and them. And we're more than happy to reciprocate. You know, we purchased that new horse. Oh, I guess that leads me to, I didn't realize all the shares of Think of Galaxies are gone. There are 15 additional shares. I had kept some back for people that had said they wanted some. If they said they wanted 5, I might have kept 7, just so I didn't, the last thing I want to see happen is somebody say, Anthony, I remember I told you I wanted 2 shares, and it happens all the time, and I feel terrible. So generally what will happen is when we buy a horse, I'll keep a few shares back, and then a couple of days later, when I'm comfortable knowing that nothing has been screwed up and no one was left out, we'll relist the shares. So there are, I think, 12 or 15 shares of Think of Galaxies left. I just sent Wendy an email. I didn't realize she was sold out. She was sold out. So I just sent Wendy a message and just said, hey, can you release the last grouping of shares? I'm not sure how many are left. Whatever's left, put it on the market tomorrow. So if you are at home saying, geez, I kind of wish I had bought into the mare, well, my first inclination would be, why didn't you do it when we bought the mare? But aside from that, there will be, I think, 12 or 13, maybe 15 shares up for sale tomorrow. So what I was getting at with her was, we sold those horses last week. We're going to continue to bring in horses that should, as I like to say, make an immediate impact. Find a spot for them. I believe this mare will fit in well in Ontario. We are going to get her to Northfield first. She's coming with Patrick the Piranha and also Spitfire overseas. Spitfire's got to have that procedure done with the quinidine. I talked about it in a video today. We'll get him back on track with every intention of sending the horse back to Megan. And then Patrick the Piranha, we're going to race him, I guess, at Northfield. He did qualify in 51 there. And then we'll look and see where it's best for him. If it's Northfield, he'll stay at Northfield. The Meadows Open went 48-3 tonight. Might want to hang back from the Meadows Open for a little bit. Scioto's tough. Also, they went 48 apiece last week. There's no cakewalks in the Open divisions anywhere by the looks of it in North America. I know I had a couple people ask me today, could he go to PEI? I know if going into the Gold Cup we had a better plan to manage him, would he be able to race in it? Geez, I don't know, guys. I have no idea. Same thing, Greatest Ending. Is he going to end up in the Gold Cup? I really haven't spoken to Mark and Melissa about Greatest Ending other than to get an update that his foot did blow a bad abscess out and that he is 100% sound now, and they're looking forward to getting him back going. So a lot of questions to be answered about our race horses, but we'll continue to bring in horses that are going to make impacts for our barn. The horses that we've moved out and that we will continue to move out just aren't in a place we need them to be. So we'll move some out, we'll bring some in, and always try to upgrade, I guess. When you look at the 4 horses we sold last week, nice horses, but I think the one that we brought back in, or the second one, or the ones that we'll bring in the coming weeks will make a bigger splash in our barn. That's the plan, anyway. So thank you everybody for the kind words. It was Oliver's birthday now yesterday, as it's after midnight. It was Oliver's birthday Friday. He went to his tryout. Poor little bugger, he was so tired. He drove, Kirby and him come all the way over here, got 20 minutes into, so they have the tryouts. It's different in Ohio than in Canada for sure, because they play football in the summer here. His baseball season in Ohio is over. So they have the tryouts for next year's team already. And he missed the first tryout because I think he had something going on in Canada, a baseball game probably, and had to come to this tryout. So thankfully Kirby took him all the way over. Amy had to go somewhere with the kids and had horses racing. I was in Scioto and the Meadows. There was no way to get him here. Kirby took him all the way over here. He got 20 minutes into his tryout and it poured rain. They drove all the way back home. Didn't get home till 1 o'clock. He woke up today, went to camp. It was like I think he said it was a baseball camp today. Went to camp, got home, and drove to, it was a 10 and 11U all-star team tryout. And you know what was going to happen. Ollie turned 10 on Friday. 10U are kids that are turning 11. 11U, obviously, are kids that are going to turn 12 this year. Ollie just turned 10, so he looked like a midget on the field. But I told him, I said it would be good there to go. It would be good to go, see how the other kids are playing the positions, take in all the feedback from the coaches, right? This is where you should be playing. This is what you should do when this happens. Just the minor little things, because he absorbs all that. He's going on very little sleep. Amy said he was a trooper. He went there. He played first and third the whole tryout. And I told him, I said, I don't want to tell you you're not going to make the team. But you have to understand, you're a 10-year-old boy. You just turned 10. And you're playing against kids that are turning 11 and some kids that are going to turn 12. And this is an all-star team. So it's the best of everybody that tried out. Use it as a learning tool. when I was, and I told him, when I was a kid and I worked as a caretaker, I always wanted to work for the best stable available with a position available. I wanted to learn from the best. When I was a trainer, I wanted to be associated with, an assistant trainer. I wanted to be an assistant trainer for a top trainer. I worked for Richard Moreau for a little while in Windsor, Tom Lyon in Detroit. I worked for Jean Beaulieu, who was one of the leading trainers in Montreal when I was there. I always wanted to work where I could learn. So I told him, if you're on the field with this all-star team, you're going to learn. Use it as a learning tool. And although he's a 10-year-old boy and he maybe didn't understand what I meant, I think he understood it pretty quick when he got there. Amy said he played great at first and third, but all the kids were much bigger than him. Part of me, when you apply that to racing, don't race your horses over their head, but I don't really know if this was racing as much as training. So I was very happy and proud of the work that he did. Amy sent me a couple of good plays he made at the tryouts, and he's just been, I expect, because I set this insane pace, where I tell Ollie all the time, when you get older, you'll understand. You have to work harder than the people around you if you want to get ahead in life, and he will understand that later. But I have to understand. I have to draw lines for my son and my daughter also, and say, okay, maybe you shouldn't go to a tryout in Ohio, get home at 1 o'clock in the morning, go to camp, and then go to an all-star tryout. So I told him, I said, if you do a good job at the tryout, I'll bring you to Georgian Downs with me on Saturday. And in between our house and Georgian Downs, at the top of the 400, is Dave & Buster's. For those of you who know what Dave & Buster's is, a big arcade. He loves it. Food's terrible there, so I hate going there. But he loves the games. I told him for his birthday and for being a trooper, I would take him to Dave & Buster's. So that's what's on my plate for tomorrow. Go to the barn, likely have a little nap, leave for Georgian Downs early because I told Ollie we would stop and I would take him to Dave & Buster's, go race horses, and then come home. Sunday, I believe, I am off. So that is my week in a nutshell. Next week, likely similar, chaotic-wise, on the chaos meter. Very similar, but a lot of fun, got a lot of work done this week, a lot of good races from our horses, and a lot of our horses that raced good look like they're going to be racing even better in the future. So, with that, 42 minutes, the last 10 had to be a bit of a ramble, but nevertheless, you're stuck with me because I'm not home for another 2 hours, 9 minutes. I will talk to you all very soon. I'll talk to you tomorrow. You got your videos tomorrow. I'll do those and give you an update about racing. What do we have racing tomorrow? Just quick, I'm going to look. We have Arson. Ooh, I can't wait to watch him race. I know he's 7-1. I know our expectations have to be tempered. I can't wait to watch him race. Then I got Stay Close. Winter Bells is in Sarnie with Scott Young, I believe, driving her. Stay Close, I'm driving. How the Hell I'm driving. Tactical Mounds races tomorrow. Good. I know No Free Lunch and Atlas Hanover are buried again, coming in off 2 weeks because of last week's cancellation. First start of ever in Minnesota on Sunday for us. Major Megan and Per Lucky are Sunday starters according to the calendar. And then Monday we have Wallop with Hunter Myers, and I'll be driving JK Victory. So with that, I'll let you go. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. Of course you did. We all did. It was a great week for the stable.ca.